good people, welcome back to our show Kuluma, where we say no matter how easy or hard it is, just Kuluma. You know what? It's been such a beautiful journey to find ourselves in these studios, you know, addressing the matters that matter the most. So thank you so much for everybody who's showing us love. Your love, guys, is so real. We can feel it and we notice it. So I am Evangelist Faith Sitole and I am the co-host of the show. Hello, Miss Kelly Ken. How are you doing?
Hello, my darling. I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for that beautiful opening. And welcome to our brand new subscribers and our retaining subscribers. See you, guys. We love you so much. And remember to always click on the bell on the side so that you get all the notifications for us when we come and we upload a brand new video.
Wow. And I'm sure you are sitting there and you're wondering, what's okay, but
Yes.
So we are very relevant, of which I think we always are.
Honey.
So we know, for the past year, the year 2020, we've experienced trauma, right?
Yeah.
Because the entire world was actually classified as being in a pandemic state.
Yeah.
So as we all know, to 2020, and for some of us, even 2021 seems to be like an extension of 2020, right?
Yeah.
It's been very difficult. And the sad part is that we've experienced impilo zabantu ishintsha because of COVID. We've experienced loss in terms of our loved ones, you know, the people that we care about. Because there was even a time, Kelly, where in just 1 week, I don't know how many calls I received. Ati Ubani so and so has passed away, you know, and you will see Ama profile pictures on WhatsApp. Uktiwa Ubani so and so has also passed away,
yeah,
you know. And I remember this other friend of mine had also posted omunye ubaba nje umngani kababa esimthanda kakhulu esimkhonzile yabo. So umposte angiboni ukuthi uthi happy birthday, umposta wakhe sengilahle phone ngiyakhala, you know, because bekuyizinto, you know, it was things that you've been just experiencing during the pandemic last year in the year 2020. And then I realized later, but you know what, I'm actually overreacting. Let me just read. The poor friend of mine was just wishing ubaba, you know, a friend to my father, happy birthday, you know. And then that's how
sensitive.
You know, sensitive this issue of the pandemic has been to us. So today we just want to talk around it to also show Uguti we've been observing, and you know, we feel the pains that was felt by different people and different families. And even at home, I remember we had a case of COVID where the entire family, one of my sisters with her family, all of them were actually infected, you know, by this COVID. And it was such a disaster, you know. So I know, Uguti, it's been a very difficult journey. So that is what I would like us to actually talk about, you know, today. But we're not going to end it there. We're also going to talk about the nice things that you've also learned throughout the pandemic. So Miss Kelly Ken, what is your take? Like, how has 2020 been like?
You know, 2020 was obviously a first for our lifetime. Yeah. Like in our lifetime, I don't wish that we ever go back to that space of experiencing a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic. It felt like, I think we got a glimpse of what the world felt when it was World War I and World War II and World War III. And you know, for me, it just was a bit of a shock in terms of how far away as a world we are, but also just how close. You know, the virus actually just taught us that the air that is being, that people in China are breathing can easily, you know, come to South Africa and, you know, through this umkhuhlane, you know. Yeah. So it just made me to be aware of that moment, that it is actually, we are far, yet we are so close. We are different, yet we are so close. And, you know, when you talk about the pandemic and the pain that it caused us and the people that we lost, you know, not being able to work. Some businesses had to shut down, and, you know, there was just sadness all around us. And, you know, it was, it's the story that you were telling was actually lived by so many of us. You know, the minute you see somebody uploading a picture and you're like, not this one, you know? Not this one. But, you know, it was just one of those things. And it really, for me personally, it actually stretched me. You know, it stretched me in terms of my way of thinking and my way of appreciating the moment. You know, I remember having this conversation, which I'm not gonna have. I had this conversation with one of my circle, my friends, and we were like, I don't know, but I just feel like, you know, this whole thing has really just taught me that, you know, I'm ready for death. Because you just never know when it's gonna happen, guys. You just need to be ready, because you go to bed and the next morning someone is not around you. So it just really brought those questions, and you know, which is what we as Christians are always asking ourselves. Ready, and you know, so it's those things that were like, you know, fresh. They were fresh, you know, every single day. You know, you were making sure that your house is in order. You know, your relationship with your children, with your spouse, with our extended families, everything is in order, just to make sure that, you know what, I don't want to be gone and leaving things behind and ugly things, or, you know, you just didn't know. But it was really just a sad era. It was a sad era, but at the same time, as you're saying, there is there's a whole lot of good that came out of the pandemic. And one thing, us being Christians, we know that, you know, God actually paused the whole world so that He can speak. You know, and for me, I also got a glimpse that is exactly how it's going to be when the Lord Jesus comes back. Everything will be shut. Everything will be on standstill. So it really got real. It got real for me, you know, because I was like, I think just Sebuya, it's your color from one space. You know, so it was just one of those things for me.
It's been something out of this world for real, because not only experiencing the losses of our loved ones, of which is, I believe, is the most painful thing that could ever happen. You know, on top of that, we're losing people that we love the most, and then job losses, businesses. You know, we lose. And then the church gatherings are closed. You know that sometimes when isonto listening at this thing, going to church on Sundays, and having to find ourselves transitioning to online church, it's been very different and it's been very hectic. And here we are as people, and you are also required to also have data to log on to the online gatherings, to log on to the online functions, and to even do work online as well.
And school
at the same time. I was never frustrated like this. Thank you for bringing that. Because I used to tell myself, I am not a teacher. And I cried to you, my friend, telling you, I hate this. I'm not a teacher. Why am I required to teach my kid? I hated every day of the pandemic's life, especially when I had to teach my kids. And it's my job that I'm doing every day on a daily basis. And also at the same time, I'm expected to teach people the things that I don't even care about, truly speaking, right? The kids just need to care about, because it's you know, it affects their life, not
their
me.
syllabus.
It's their syllabus and not me. And then it's been very sad. But of which that is why we also thought of starting this journey of Ukuluma, you know, because we realized we are dying in our corners and we are dying in our spaces, and there's a lot of things that are happening, you know, so we need to start talking about it. And I know, my friend, you also ran some couple of series around gender-based violence, you know, and then probably from that, what is it that you've learned around the pandemic with the gender-based violence in place?
Thank you so much for bringing that up. And you know, as you were saying, that we actually started Kuluma during the pandemic, and you know, because we just felt that we shouldn't be in a space where you talk to no one, and you know, in the absentia of church, because in the absentia of even going to the office, in the absentia of socializing, you know, gatherings, events, everything was taken away. And a lot of people mentally also went into a space where they did not cope. And they went into a space where they were not even, you know, functioning. And obviously, when people are not coping and they're not functioning, everything is new around them. There's a whole lot of frustration. Not that we were spared gender-based violence anyway, but the pandemic has made it even worse, you know, because now you would find that you are at home more hours than you would usually be with your perpetrator. You know, he's no longer at work. He's no longer, you don't see him only when you come back from work, but you are stuck in the same house with him for the whole day. And already if this person is abusing you, obviously it means you are walking around eggshells around them. And it means you are, you know, you are careful of everything you are saying and everything that you are doing, because you don't want to trigger that abuse. But you know, so it really was on an increase. And you know, we've prayed, and we did have the session where we spoke about gender-based violence, but we were mostly focused on the children, you know, just also to encourage the parents to talk to their daughters and to talk to their sons, because we believe that this is going to be the future generation. So if they can actually be taught now that this is how you treat a girl, this is how a guy is supposed to treat you, this is how you treat a guy, it actually just kills that gender-based violence in future. So there was a whole lot of frustration, as you were saying, that a lot of people lost their jobs, they were out of business, you know, they were now not able to do what they are used to do. So there was a lot of frustration, and unfortunately for some people, they feel so empowered that when they are frustrated, they actually want to take out their frustration on others. So the lockdown actually brought that much of a bad side, unfortunately, for some families and for some women and for some children. But we are hopeful that, you know what, this situation is indeed going to change.
No, it is. And you know, hey, my parents would call us, each and every one of us, and they will constantly remind us, because it's Yahamba. There was a time when my mom called us and she told us about the policies and the papers and everything, because she saw her friends dying because of COVID, and people around, you know, the area that we live in, abaningi, they lost their parents. And I'm sure nabo bebe ibala, but I'm next. It was very emotional. Every time when you call Luma, ilanga lam lokugcina ngikhuluma now. You know, and even living in that fear, you are fearful for yourself, and you are also fearful for your parents and everyone else. And we are born to this thing is real. You know, people are dying like ants out there. It has been such a very emotional journey, right? But before we even get too emotional about it, of which I think I'm getting emotional now, is I just want us to look at, we've lost most of the things. I have a couple of friends who lost their mothers, their fathers, their sisters, and almost everybody around their houses, right? And I don't know what advice I might give you and say be strong, because I don't know your pain. But I just want us to think around the things, Yoguti, but my life is shattered, right? I've lost so much, but what is that one particular thing that I can just look, you know, up to and say, as long as I have this, I'm gonna hold on to it. So we've lost so much, but what is it? I want you at home to think about it. Yini le esasekhona onayo even now that you can just hold on to it, that will give you strength. To me, I could not even hold on to my children and say because I don't know whether they're going to get contaminated or they will die. I could not even hold on to my parents, because every day they would call me and tell me, pray it's the last day. The only thing that kept me going, that I held on, was my faith.
Yes.
And I held on it so much to say, God, I might lose isn't or right, I might lose. And actually I lost my job for a couple of months where I was just exhausting my savings account. And when it was just about to finish, I went back to God to say, God, I won't be in Joburg to suffer and struggle. My house is not going to be repossessed, and my car is not going to be repossessed. I held on my faith. The reality being, the pandemic is there, I don't have a job, but I held on to that thing that I know it will keep me going. I can never lose my faith, because if I were to lose my faith, I was going to lose the car, lose the house, and lose the children, and even lose my parents. So I had just held on to that. And what I love the most about faith, ayisho ukuthi bonke kuzohamba kahle. Ayisho ukuthi everything will be well. And faith is not saying your parents won't die because of COVID, you won't have COVID, your children won't die because of COVID. It doesn't say that. It says even if kwenzeka, They die because of COVID. Or even if I die because of COVID, or we get contaminated because of this disease, I'm holding on to the faith. Yoguti, yes, let me die, but in the hands of God.
Yes.
Because I don't want to lose it. And that's what I was teaching my children. Yoguti, if I were to die because of this COVID, I want you to hold on to that faith and say, Uma usifundisa uNkulunkulu, we want to hold on to it. So what is it that you have that you can use to hold on to it so much that is going to give you strength to move on? What is it, Kelly? Do you have that thing? Have you ever experienced it?
Yeah, this topic was really quite a heavy one because, you know, as you were saying, that we dealt with so many losses and, you know, like people that we held so dearly in our hearts. And, you know, I personally went through some of the losses. Some were family related, some were like people that I really considered even family. And, you know, it just didn't prepare you in terms of, it was multiple deaths. You know, when you lose someone, you don't think that next week you might lose someone again. The other week you might lose someone again. I mean, if the past has taught us anything, it has taught us that if that happens, you then know that something is not right. But with COVID, it became a norm. It became a norm that there was a funeral
every week.
And by the way, the most painful thing ever, we can't even attend these funerals.
My friend.
We can't even attend these funerals.
We can't be there.
And, you know, we can't be there. And we can't even support the mourners properly because now it's a telephonic situation. And, you know, so it really was and still is, but we thank God now that the numbers have gone down. But it was really just, you know, a culture shock in terms of, you know, you lost so-and-so this week, next week, next week. And it was not stopping. And it really emotionally took you to a place where you really felt that I am just a mess. Yeah. You know, I remember my very first time, like a person that I lost who was, you know, my everything, and the person I spoke to every single day was my brother in 2015. That was the first time ever I felt
you experienced loss that much.
You know, like, what do you mean I can't pick up the phone and call him? What do you mean I can't talk to him? I can't hug him. I can't touch him forever. For me, it was the first time ever that happened was in 2015. So when the whole pandemic struck, I think I went numb. I really went numb. Like, I remember to a certain extent, even at our church back home, my mom's church, people were just passing on left, right, and center. People I know, I grew up with, you know, my mother's neighbors. It was just a whole stretch, you know, like this week in your to-do's husband, but next week you're sending offering left, right, and center. Because now it's like, oh my God, how did we get to this space where it is every week? So with the pandemic, I just went numb. Like, I think to a certain point where if I hear or I see that someone has passed on, I wouldn't express an emotion because I think I was just numb. I was like, oh, okay, it has happened. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Yeah. Like, I became that person. Like, I became that person where I was like, thanks for letting me know. And the emotional part of it was just gone. I couldn't feel because it was a lot. I remember telling a friend of mine that this pandemic is the most abusive thing we've ever seen because it just really messes you up and you just don't know where you know, it's coming from. But to just answer your question, my thing that I held on is really my salvation. Wow. You know, I really held on to my salvation. And as I said earlier, that this is a conversation I was having with my other friends, that, you know, I felt that I am ready. And it's not me giving up. It's not me saying, Lord, take me. But it was me saying that, you know what, I'm ready. And especially because I know where I'm going. Especially because I know that my relationship with God is good. You know, it's great. I'm at a place where I know that who is in charge of my life and who does my soul belong to. I was at that space, and I'm still at that space even now, where I feel like, you know what, my salvation really kept me going. And as you were saying, that Uma would call and, you know, would say, baby, this is the last time you are talking to me. I can imagine what that does to you as a child. And, you know, it just really puts you in a space where, yeah, and, you know, even talking to people that actually got positive, it was the scariest thing ever. Encouraging someone that was positive was honestly one of the hardest things ever. But we had to do it. God. We had to do it. And, you know, just also to encourage them. To encourage them, not for them to surrender and to give in or to make those defeated prayers, but just for their own well-being. Because I honestly think this, as I'm saying, it was abusive because it will box you and it will put you in a corner. You have to isolate. No one can come. No one can touch you. So now imagine you're not even hearing people's words. You're not even hearing people encouraging you. So you are alone in the dark. Who knows? Maybe some COVID victims did not even die of COVID. They died of just being alone, of fear of being alone. You know, just being in that space and you're thinking, no one can even get to me. That thing is quite scary.
It's very scary.
It's quite scary. So, but yeah, I'm sure it became to that point.
Yeah, and the most scariest thing that I have seen or I've observed throughout the pandemic is that you know this person, he's the most, or they were the most healthiest people, right?
Yeah.
And they put on their masks, they were sanitizing, they observed social distancing and everything. They were not even going out, you know, to the malls or everything else. But they happen to find themselves positive.
Yeah.
I think that is the most emotional thing I've ever experienced. They positive today, and then admit in the next 3 days, right?
Yeah.
And then they will stay in the hospital for like 4 days, and on the 5th day they die. And you are just asking yourself a question: how? It cannot be that person, because I know how much they've taken care of themselves, you know. And we started feeling the pain. Why do you just take the innocent people while you know, when you've been around gallivanting and doing all those things because of work, probably, you know, that are taking you to streets or stuff like that, and then here you are where now you are always negative, but people who've been observing the restrictions and making sure that they comply, they still get it, and in just less than a week, they're dead. How then do we heal from that as people? Abahleli. You get a call to so and so admit you when you are out of the province or out of town, and while you prepare to go and see them, you get a call that they're gone. How do we survive from that shock? How do we survive from that pain? And you know, I found, and it's been very difficult to give hope to such people, because uzotini, you can't ask them to be strong because the strength is not there. Uzotini, how then do you live? The only thing that I could do, I remember one of my friends, that, you know, she called me as well to report that her mother has passed away. I literally cried with her on the phone. She was crying and screaming. I was crying and screaming as well, because I really didn't know what to do or what to say, because it was just a shock, because we also loved her mother so much at home, you know, we adored her, and it was such a shock. For a moment I felt like my soul is leaving me, because I could not believe it. Speaking to the numbness that you referred to, I felt that, I felt like there's a piece of me that's moving away. And I was so tired of hearing this bad news and all that. But also, the questions still remain. Everything around you seems to be deteriorating or being damaged. What is it that you can use, that you can just keep to yourself, that will keep motivating you every day? We might not have answers. You know, even the words to motivate people, they run out. The words to inspire people, they run out. You can't even sometimes send them the verses, because you know how well they know the Bible, and you end up not knowing what to say. But as Ukuluma, we are here to say, guys, no matter what you are going through, just find that one thing that you will hold on to, that will keep you going, even if it means it's work. Sometimes people find therapy in work. Some people find therapy in taking care of themselves, self-care. Some people find therapy in so different ways. also have that therapeutic sessions with yourself that will make you remain calm, and that will also help you, keep going. So before we close the show, I would like to ask you, Miss Kelly Ken, what are the few advices that you can give people out there still, because we are still around the pandemic?
Stay at home. Sanitize.
Mask.
Wear your mask. I think we've overheard those, but the most important one, be prepared for that anything can always happen. And just before we quickly get to even those, I want to quickly just share on some of the good things that actually happened during the pandemic. Like I said earlier, that I felt that God actually paused the entire world so that he can speak, because I felt that maybe I'm going to speak about myself. I was in a very comfortable space, and I felt that God really wanted to stretch me and, just shake me up a bit, and to see if things are uncomfortable, am I going to be comfortable?
Yeah.
Because, when everything is fine, the business is fine, the family is fine, you're like, oh, it's fine, everything is happy, you are in peace, you are flowing. And then 1, 2, 1, 2, there's a pandemic. Obviously, you are now thinking, what do they mean I can't work? What do they mean my business cannot operate? What do they mean my children cannot go to school? What do they mean I cannot go to church? Obviously, there's discomfort. It's like you have thorns poking you underneath your feet, right?
Yeah.
But it then just stretched me in terms of my businesses. I ventured into this new and wonderful business, which I never thought I'll be able to do. But because of the gap and the opportunity that came with the pandemic, I then decided to run with it, and I started this, and it's been going so well and
done.
amazing. And also, not only just also on the business side as well, the family side. My friend, I can mention her because she's my friend and baby sis, Umpumile Dwaba. She said to me that, you know what, Kelly, that the pandemic actually took the church back to where it belongs, at home.
Yes.
The fact that you could sit with your children
Yes.
and you are all watching the TV, or you are reading the scripture, or you are singing, those worship songs. Okay, mina kwami siyabhimba sonke. Nipimbele Nkosi. It was just really so beautiful and intimate for me. And that is exactly how it was supposed to be. Being home with your children 24/7. I know I'm not the most patient person ever, but I feel like I bonded so much with my children. As much as, obviously, I'm not a teacher, I didn't want to teach them, or I did teach them when I could, but after some time, Nami, I was like, no, guys, I go back. And, but I felt that our relationship just grew so strong. We became closer. I saw my children doing stuff that they wouldn't ordinarily do with us as their parents. I saw them opening up. We were having like serious conversations.
Wow.
The movies they were choosing to watch on movie nights, it just really became that whole tight circle. And I was like, okay, it's not all bad. This pandemic is really opening up opportunities. It's really bringing the families closer. It's really just, cut down the rush and just making us to be more available for each other, not just being there also, but also the emotional side of it as well, because everyone is there and everyone is just, surrounding and hugging each other. They're saying, we weren't allowed to hug, but as a family, we hugged each other.
Yeah.
So I think, it's just one of those things that, we really just did have to embrace, and just really have to be there. But on going forward, and where we are headed as a world and as a country, or even you as a person, be prepared. Have that energy. Seek for positive vibes always, because in your positive vibes, that's where you're actually going to find things that will sustain you during any pandemic. Should another pandemic come back? We don't know. If it does, it should find you at a better space than the first one. It should find you at a space where you're mentally you are fit. physically you are fit, emotionally you are fit, so that nothing cripples you, because we just don't know what might come of tomorrow. So I am Mrs. Kelly Ken, one across all social media networks, and you can connect with me there. And otherwise, I'll hand over to my host to close us off.
Yeah, those closing remarks, right? They've just reminded me, Oguti, Yazi, I realized, Oguti, there's so much I did not know about my kids. There's so much I did not know about my kids. And when I spent more time with them, I realized, Oguti, can't you always, how? All right. And then they kind of like surprised me, and then spending time with them, I've never even realized that they enjoy my cooking. They crave for my cooking. But being alone, it also gave me a chance to cook for my kids, a chance to be creative around the kitchen. So for me, it was not all bad. Pandemic was not all bad, because I started training so hard as well during the pandemic. And I also started cooking almost every day for my kids, spending time with my children, as emotional as the pandemic was. But I thank God, and I'm so appreciative of the fact that I was able to spend time with my kids. So good people, we thank you so much for being part of the show. And we know that it is not just a show where, we talk about things. It is a show where we talk about the things that matters the most to our society and our community. Thank you so much for the love. And you can find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, so that you will be one of the first people who will receive the notification, and turn that notification button on, so that whenever we upload, you can see the videos. And we thank you. We've seen you sharing our videos. We've seen you actually promoting us even on social media. So we thank you so much. I am Evangelist Faith Sithole through all the social media, including my podcast. Thank you so much. You've been such a wonderful and great audience. God bless you.